This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Let me talk a little Dolphins. My man Armando Salguero had an article in the Miami Herald, and he was, in the way he kind of wrote the article, he was talking about how maybe Tua isn't a player that Brian Flores wants on his team, and Armando made an exceptional point on how things have been handled in the offseason. And the only thing I would disagree with him, if you go read the article in the Miami Herald, he talks about how Tua is out there and, bits and pieces are coming out about his meeting with one team or the Dolphins, or, how his health is, or what the progress is, or the videos that he's putting out. That information is trickling out. And that meanwhile, and he's 1,000% right, do you hear about a meeting with Joe Burrow? No. Do you hear about Herbert? No. Do you hear about Love? No. You don't. Nothing leaks out from any of those. In fact, the only thing that leaked out from Joe Burrow was the A.J. Green thing. That's it. But outside of that, they're not selling themselves like Tua is and his camp. And so kind of what Armando was insinuating is this a sign of things to come with Tua? Is he a guy that is going to be constantly leaking things? And here's what I would say to that article, where I would disagree with Armando on a couple of different levels. One, Tua wasn't like that in Alabama. Okay? Under Saban, it wasn't like he was Mr. Hey, I'm Tua, bring attention to me and all this stuff. He wasn't that dude. He wasn't Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma. Right? Baker Mayfield was look at me, look at me, look at me guy. Johnny Manziel was look at me, look at me, look at me guy. Tua's not that. And so where I would disagree with Armando on this is Tua and his people are doing what they have to do at this point. Do you know why? Because he's injured. Because he's been injured over and over and over again. Because the question marks for Tua are much more serious than Herbert. See, Herbert's issue is not a physical thing. It's a mental thing. It's a maturity thing that you're worried about with him. Joe Burrow, it's not a maturity thing. It's not a physical thing. It's a one-year wonder. Okay, wait a minute. He was surrounded by great talent. He had Joe Brady, who called the perfect offense for him. Everything went well. Is this really the guy? Because he looked kind of average the year before, and he was mediocre at Ohio State. So which is the real Joe Burrow? Jordan Love's problem is consistency. Oh, well, wait a minute. Jordan Love was great in 2019 when he had his coaches and his players and all that. But in 2020, his coaches left. He lost a lot of the players, and so he looked terrible and made all kinds of mistakes. So was it that, or was it that he wasn't disciplined enough in a situation with less talent to be disciplined and take care of the football? Well, which one is it? I don't know, but it's not physical. It's not that he's breaking down. It's none of that. In fact, Jordan Love is healthy as hell, and he's an athletic freak, actually. That's why he's in this conversation, because athletically, he's probably the most talented quarterback in the draft. So the Tua has to sell himself. I don't blame him, because he's doing things that they need to do in order to get it out there and get people to talk about him. And look, he's doing his interviews. He said it yesterday. I saw the interview he did on ESPN, which he said absolutely nothing. It was completely fluff. But he has said that, he is talking with teams. He's having their, the video, whatever, those Skype interviews and all that stuff. And I don't know if it's true or not, but he actually said that the media side has asked him more about the injury than the teams. And maybe that's true, because a GM is not really going to know anything about it until the doctor looks at it, and the doctor needs to make the interpretation and then give it to the general manager and the head coach in layman's terms. So that's probably why coaches, a head coach right now or a quarterback's coach or an offensive coordinator that's talking to Tua isn't really going to be so much into the injury because they're not educated enough anyways. And all they're going to hear from the kid is that I feel great and all that. And he's telling that his people are telling, no, we're going to be ready to start in week one, which is complete BS. No team is going to put Tua out there in week one. The guy's not even a year removed from a hip injury. You think that guy's going to be ready to take a hit in September? If there's a football season starting in September? Hell no, dude. You'd be a moron to put Tua out there in week one and to take injuries, to take hits, especially an injury-prone guy like that. So that's where I differ with Armando in his article. I agree with him that Tua is doing stuff that probably Flores wouldn't like, but that's not his track record. I think that's his agents doing that now because there's a sell job that they have to do now that the other guys don't have to sell. The other guys, it's all football. For Tua, it's not football. It's all health. And that's a huge difference. We're not talking about Joe Burrow's shoulder or his knee or his hip. We're not talking about Jordan Love's, ACL or Liz Frank injury. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about Justin Herbert's concussion history. None of those guys have that. Just in case, if anybody, you just joined in the conversation, I'm not saying any of those guys, they're all healthy. So that's not an issue. But with Tua, that's the only issue. And it's an enormous one. Because if he's not healthy, he definitely will never even be what he was. And if you want to even get what he was, well, then you need him to be healthy and you need him to stay healthy. Can he even do that? That's the one thing that Tua has proven to everybody, right? If there's one thing, no, there's a couple things. One, he's deadly accurate, so that's good. But the other one is he's a sack of injuries. You can count on that. Classy kid, can pass the hell out of the ball, but he's also going to break down all the damn time. That's money in the bank. As consistent as he is throwing the ball, that's how injury-prone he is. As great a guy as he is, that's how injury-prone he is. All those are consistents. So that's where I would disagree with Armando on that one and say Tua's got to sell himself. He's got no choice.